Welcome to The Creative Gem, a podcast which amplifies the voices of creative and underestimated gems. You will hear stories that will empower, educate, and inspire you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Creative Gem podcast. My name is Jasmine. I am a podcast manager, and I and my team, we serve underrepresented voices, helping them to share their unique message by managing their podcast and through podcast PR. We are joined today by Leda Sanchez. She is a copywriter and she is so amazing. I'm so excited to have her on the show. Leda, tell us about you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leda Sanchez. I am a freelance copywriter and social media manager. I currently own a social media management agency, and we're currently pivoting into offering more copywriting services. So I'm really happy to be here.
Yay. Thank you for being here. So Creative Gem Media is all about, we talk a lot about creativity. We're all creative people. What sparks creativity for you?
I've actually thought about this question a lot in the past, and I feel like there's no one activity that I would say sparks creativity for me. I feel like the best way to get inspired creatively is just to live your life, honestly. So instead of me sitting at home and reading books about copywriters and following, other social media managers and getting tips, which I love to do, but just actually going out into the world, meeting people, talking to people, watching shows on Netflix, listening to music, like anything that puts your head into that space where you're connecting with other people, you're learning new things, you're having fun. I feel like that's when inspiration comes to me, because it makes me like a more well-rounded human being, if that makes any sense.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Yes. So just living your life definitely sparks creativity. So who or what inspires you?
It really depends on what I'm doing. I'm really inspired by music. I'm inspired by podcasts, listening, to other people talk about their thoughts on the world. I'll give you an example of someone that I follow. His name is Seth Godin. And the reason that I admire him and his content is because it's more about deeper level thinking. So it's not like surface level marketing tips, but why do people think the way they do? He dives deeper into human psychology. And that's the kind of thing I like to study when I'm thinking of my craft of copywriting and marketing. So those are the kinds of thinkers and thought leaders that inspire me.
Absolutely. And would you consider yourself to be a thought leader as well?
I mean, it sounds kind of cocky to say that about yourself, but I mean,
Hey,
that's kind of what I'm going for. Like, I like stating my opinion online, and I like talking about things that other people either haven't thought about or not talking about, or just always looking for something from a different angle. So I think, I mean, that's the goal. I don't know that I'm a thought leader per se, but that's the goal.
That is the goal. That's my goal as well. I'm not quite at thought leader status, but I'm working on it.
We got to own it, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So what kind of things like makes you happy? Like what is lighting you up right now?
Oh, that one's easy. My cat. I've never owned a pet in my life. I've always wanted to own a pet. But I had really strict grandparents who were very anti any kind of pet in the house, except for a fish and some birds. So I got my cat a few months ago. I started an Instagram channel for him, and I've been experimenting and learning about marketing just by posting about my cat. But yeah, he really makes me happy. It makes a difference to come home to a cute little furry animal every day.
Absolutely. Tell us the Instagram handle so we can all follow your cat.
Oh, you follow my cat, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do.
His
Our
name is
listeners need to follow too.
Yeah, his name is Ichigo, and that means strawberry in Japanese. Ichigo. So it's Ichigo the kitty. That's his handle.
Love it. You guys go follow, and
We'll put it in the notes,
support.
Jasmine.
Um, yes, I will definitely put it in the show notes. Okay, so tell me about a dark time or like a low time in your life and how you overcame it.
Oh my goodness, where do I
If
start? um, I would say I just got out of a dark time pretty recently. I won't go into full details, but basically, I had to end up um, dropping a majority of my clients, or just ending relationships with them once our contracts were up. Um, I had to take time off of work. I took a month off of work to just take care of myself and my mental health. And even though I was taking time off to take care of myself at the time, I mean, you feel guilty. You feel like you're not being productive, and it feels like you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. That I think that's what makes it even harder. Um, and just relying on people around me, on my support system, not being afraid to reach out and ask for help, and wanting to talk about my struggles, because I'm sure most of us think like, nobody cares, to hear about what I'm going through, especially when it's related to work or something. But I had people that were there for me, and they listened to me while I worked it out, and I think that was honestly the most helpful thing. So just not being afraid to seek help professionally and through your support system is very important.
so, I want to just talk about mental health is like extremely is so important for for all of us to take care of ourselves. And I know for me, I've had some issues with my mental health as well, where I like needed mental health days. And I did see a therapist like a long time ago, and I realized that I need to go back to her. And it's just really, really, it's important. And it's important to have that support system to kind of get you out of the dark place. So I'm glad that you were able to get out of it and take action to address those issues.
Yeah, and I feel like part of it is that people are more open about it now. So it was easier actually this time to go to family and friends. I feel like they're more aware of what's, no, people during the pandemic were starting to experience some of these feelings that I've been experiencing my whole life for the first time. I've had people come to me and be like, "Hey, I felt I got an anxiety attack, and I know how it feels, and wow, like." So that's, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a good thing. I don't like for other people to go through anxiety, but it was definitely a part of it. Just people experiencing that isolation. I feel like we all went together through this hump, like collectively.
Absolutely, we did. Yes. And especially in the Black community, like we don't go see about ourselves. But I think now nowadays there are so many people committing suicide, and like people are really like paying attention, like, hey, if there's something wrong, I need to go and get myself checked, and talk to someone, so yes, we as a community are getting better with talking things out with people. And it's helpful to not only talk to your family and friends, but like outside people, like actual like counselors and therapists and things like that. And people are like, I don't want to say all of this because they don't, I don't know them, and but it's confidential. They're not going to run and tell anybody. So it's just building that trust with that other person to vent all your whatever you're feeling. But
And I just wanted to just add something really quickly
yeah,
about that, because I was also afraid the first time I went to seek therapy a few years ago. And something you got to remember is that these people are not there to judge you. It doesn't matter, what you've done in your life. You think because you're going to get attacked for your past actions, and that's not the point of therapy. So don't be afraid to seek help for that reason.
absolutely. 100%. What is something you grew up not liking about yourself but have now accepted?
Well, I don't know if you want to go here with the podcast, um, but I'll have to say I am overweight. I've been plus size my entire life from age 5 until now. And obviously, the world has made me feel like that was not acceptable. That was not a good thing. I've been um, attempting weight loss diets my whole life. I've been, going up and down, yo yoing. And I finally reached age 30. And I'm just like, why did I waste all this time? Like, I feel super comfortable in my skin. I feel beautiful. Um, I love putting on makeup and dressing up, and I really don't care what other people think about how I look. Um, yeah, I just feel like I'm more, and part of that is being exposed to people on social media of all different body types. Um, like women who put themselves out there looking beautiful in their outfits and just doing their own thing, and that's a huge mental shift for me from when I was younger until now. So yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to go there, but I think that's a pretty major one, and it's made a huge impact on my happiness and fulfillment.
Absolutely. And I can definitely relate to that. I was chubby too, and I'm still overweight. And it caused me a lot of like depression, like as a teenager. Like I was just super unhappy. Just didn't feel comfortable in my skin and felt ugly and all that stuff. And but as I've grown up and just did a lot of mindset work, did a lot of going to see my therapist, and I I love my body. It's been through a lot, and I have gratitude towards my body, and yes, I still want to lose weight, and I've done a bunch of things, start, stop, fitness things. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna eat healthy, but it's an ongoing journey, and you just have to be kind to yourself and patient with yourself, and you know eventually you will get to where you want to be, and as far as like your body, how your body, and
As long
yeah,
as if I could give you a piece
yeah,
of advice, or
yeah,
anyone listening, as long as you are taking care of
hmm,
yourself, because there are I'm sure we've all experienced very unhealthy ways of just trying to lose weight. So it's not about being healthy, it's just about getting rid of the fat or fitting into a smaller size. Um, but you're doing, there's some methods like, what would I say, like fasting and not eating enough calories during the day, over exercising. You're damaging your organs, you're damaging your body. These are long-term health issues that you're causing just by wanting to look a certain way. So I believe if we shift our focus to how we feel, and our health, and not so much on let me get to a certain size as quickly as possible, um, then I think we'll all be doing a lot better for ourselves and our health.
Definitely agree. Okay, so what does being a creative gem mean to you? It's the title of the podcast, but what does being a creative gem mean to you, if anything?
Yeah. Oh, if anything,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I was just very. Jasmine approached me to help out with the project. I know I helped you out with some of the copywriting involved.
Yeah.
And I remember being so impressed by this whole initiative. And I really wanted to be a part of it. So I was just like, hey, Jasmine, I'll just help you out with this. Can you just put me in the creative gems? Like, can
Yeah.
you just add me in?
Yeah.
And I just thought it was something that's not being done. Honestly, it's not something that I've seen. I've seen podcast directories, but I have not seen them done in a way that's really showcasing people who need to be showcased. So you're focusing on um, women who do really great work,
Yes.
because I've definitely listened to the podcasts of some of the clients that you've recommended on your social media, and I'm like, damn, like why didn't I know about this lady? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's like what you're doing is super needed and it's very important. So I feel um grateful to be a part of that like initial group of creative gems.
Yes. Yes.
So we're like, what do you call it? Like diamonds in the rough.
Exactly. Yes.
We need to be pushed out into the world. That's how I feel like a creative gem. Um we're unearthed treasures. I don't know if that
Exactly.
sounds corny.
No, exactly.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, what is something people would be surprised to know about you?
I spent 5 years learning Japanese. And I think that surprises a lot of people.
That is
Because they're
wow.
like, what? Why? And now it's becoming a little more common for people to be into anime and then, get into Japanese that way. But back when I started learning it, yeah, people thought it was ridiculous. But I really love learning about other cultures and exploring that. And when you're learning a language, you're really diving deep into why people communicate the way they do, why they use certain words and phrases, why certain words and phrases may exist in that language that we don't have in English, and why. And those kind of things are like fascinating to me. So yeah, I was learning Japanese. I ended up going to Japan.
Oh my god.
Was able to speak. I wouldn't say like having deep conversations or anything like that, but I was able to, ask for directions, order my food, have like, little half English, half Japanese conversations here and there.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was just a great experience for me.
Awesome. Well, can you say like something in Japanese really quick? Like anything you want to say.
Uh, 私の名前はリーダです。That's my name is Leda.
Cool. Yes, I love different languages. They're like super awesome. I've actually been on Duolingo trying to learn Spanish. And then the next thing I want to learn is Portuguese. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
I started with Portuguese. That was the first language I wanted to learn.
Mhm.
And even though I speak Spanish, the pronunciation was such a challenge for me. I kind of gave it up. But yeah, I'm rooting you on, Jasmine.
Well, thank you. Thanks. So, what is something that's happening in your community, Latina community, that you feel very passionate about?
Okay, this is something we kind of discussed in the DMs.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a little concept I was trying to think about. But I feel like I feel like it might be the same in the Black community as well, but with
Mhm.
Latinos, we are so worried about what other people think because we're constantly having to prove ourselves. So because we look a certain way, we're judged by the way we're dressed, by the way our hair is done, by the way our makeup's done. So what I see a lot of people in my community doing is kind of overcorrecting for that. So they're like dressed to the nines everywhere they go, and which is fine. I mean, if that's how you want to dress, if that's how you want to look and present yourself, that's awesome. But I want people to know that it's okay to be more comfortable with yourself, and I think that we should make that shift to not dressing a certain way just for professionalism's sake, and also not judging each other and bringing each other down, like, oh, so and so has a tattoo. And because I know tattoos are a thing with us, especially those who are Catholic, like judging others for how they present themselves and just um, basically, judging the book by its cover. And I don't think we need to do that. Um, it just feels to me, I've been in some spaces where it just feels a little bit, stuffy.
Mhm.
And uh, I feel like we should be free to be more ourselves, because that's just, it doesn't come naturally to us. Like, um, 'cause I've worked in corporate as well. So white corporate culture is really different from how I grew up, at least. There were a lot of social norms I had to learn, things I couldn't ask. Emotions I couldn't show at work. And I mean, it was a struggle for me to have to relearn like a whole way. Like when I'm at work, it's like, it's a facade. We're code switching. We're not ourselves.
Mhm.
So I mean, honestly, I just want to point it out to people and be like, hey, like, screw this. We don't got to do this anymore. Like who are we trying to impress?
There is like
So yeah,
a
those are my thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. There is a lot of pressure on social media. We're mostly on Instagram, and I don't see it too much on Facebook or like the other platforms. It's definitely Instagram the most, I think. And
Oh, LinkedIn for me, I would say, when it comes
really,
to the Latino community,
okay.
and I mean, LinkedIn in general is kind of stuffy, but I mean, people go all out with their professional headshots, and their hair's got to be in the right place, and they can't be showing too much of this or that, and it's just, I don't know, it's not. We don't need to do that. We're
Agree.
entering a new era
Yes,
with all that we've been through in these past couple years, and how we are conducting ourselves online. Like, things are changing. So I think we should just be true to ourselves.
absolutely. True to yourself, be authentic. That's why a lot of times when I'm on social media, like I'll be looking exactly like this. And occasionally, though, I might do a filter or two, but but I do love
Oh,
makeup,
I mean,
and
I don't mean to act, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't mean to act holier than thou, but I stopped using filters.
oh, okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you want to do, but I love a good filter or two when I'm doing Instagram stories. But like sometimes I'm like, man, I need to get my eyebrows done because everybody has their eyebrows all perfectly, done. And maybe I need some lashes because, like, but I do like to doll up every now and then. So
I will say about filters though. Um, Well, I've heard that you don't really look the way you do in real life, like when you're just taking a video with no filter. So sometimes filters can help, adding shadows back into your face. It makes you look more like you. So I think that's something that people don't know, that I learned
I didn't know
um,
that.
from a YouTuber. So that was interesting to know. So it's not that they're all bad or trying to change the way you look.
Some of them do be changing the way you look, though. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even look like that. But it's okay. What steps would people take to create the life that they want? Because I know in the beginning you were talking about what sparks creativity is just living your life. So, have you created the life that you want, like living fully in your purpose? And then what steps would people take to create the life they want and live in their purpose? I thought that was a two-part
Jasmine,
question.
that's a big question, Jasmine.
It is. It is. Sorry. We're getting
I don't
deep.
know that
I
I have
like
all that
being deep.
figured out.
Okay. Well, answer what you can.
Yes, yes. I feel like I'm joking with you, but I feel like I'm
Okay.
actually on my way there. I feel like I'm on that path. I haven't quite reached it, but it feels like I'm being supported by something. I don't know. Um, some of you may say God, some of you may say ancestors or universe, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm making all the right moves right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, something that's a very important mindset shift that I did not have in the past is just trying to ground yourself. And by grounding yourself, I mean like just being present and being aware of your senses and trusting your intuition, which is, I mean, I didn't know what my intuition was at one time because it was clouded by anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my decisions were made out of fear and out of anxiety. And you do not want to make decisions out of fear. So, for example, I'm job searching right now. I'm not going to take the first job that's not for me just because I'm scared that I'm not going to get the job that I actually want. So I had to start realizing like, okay, if I'm making a decision, I'm not sure about it, but my anxiety is like, come on, just do it. Like, we need a job right now. Like, that's not a decision that's going to serve you and your future purpose. So sometimes you might not even know what is your purpose, but your body's like telling you, hey, this is not it, or this feels good. So I think that's really important. And I'm someone who always thought all that stuff was a little bit woo woo, but it really is like, it's a feeling. It's something that you feel, and it's hard to get in touch with that feeling sometimes.
It is.
But it's practice over time, learning how to listen to yourself and trust yourself.
Absolutely. Like trying to, that's why they recommend like meditation and like, all this stuff to kind of just like calm yourself and drown the outside noise and like really go internal, like inside, and think about, visualize the life that you want and how you can get there and what you need to do. You probably already know what you need to do, and it's just the doing it part. And so yes, so the steps people would take to create the life they want is just to kind of listen to their intuition and trust themselves, and
And don't
uh,
make decisions out of
out of
fear.
fear, right? Yes, I can tend to be a little sometimes impulsive, and I do make decisions sometimes out of anxiety and fear, and I'm trying to learn like to shift it and like take a step back and be like, okay, Jasmine, no. So let's do this instead.
Yeah, and for me, it's helped to at least take a breather, like take a day out, because I used to feel like, oh man, I gotta decide right now, or else if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just gonna be thinking about it. And I mean, you just gotta, like you said,
Me too.
meditation, just chill on it, let it come to you, let your thoughts process it a little bit.
Absolutely. Yes. So, last question. What do you want to be known for?
Oh man, that's another big question. These are very big questions. Um, I I don't know that I would say I want to be known for copywriting per se. I haven't really committed to that as like a life's purpose yet. It's what I love doing
Okay.
right now. But I do want to
Yeah.
be known as someone who is always themselves, is always upfront, not ashamed of who they are and their past. And, I mean, we all have flaws too. So I like to be someone who's very upfront about my flaws and not
Hmm.
afraid to make mistakes in front of everyone and learn. So that's something that I want to be known for. Like, okay, if you go to Leda, like she's gonna be real, like she's gonna be always trying to move to the next level, talk about something new, and point out things about society that she doesn't like or that she's thinking about. So somebody who's just very open and says what's on their mind. That is the true me, and I haven't always lived my truth. Um, I grew up in. I was raised by my grandmother, very strict Salvadorian grandmother. Was not allowed to speak my mind because I mean I was raised old school. That's just how it was, and I was basically shut down, and I became really quiet and shy and introverted, and now I'm trying to tell that inner child, hey, it's okay, just be you. And it's okay whether people accept you or they don't. And that's probably one of the biggest struggles I've had is dealing with rejection, but it's necessary.
Love it. Love it. This question is not on the list, but I just like want to ask, like, what was it like growing up in you said Salvadorian household? I know you said very strict, but like
Hmm.
not familiar with the Salvadorian culture. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are not. So just tell us like a little bit about like this particular community.
Okay, so
So,
I'm actually half Mexican, half Salvadorian, but I was raised by my Salvadorian side of my family. I was raised by my grandparents, and because I grew up in a Latino culture, I grew up in a house with a bunch of extended relatives. I grew up,
mhm.
how they say, being raised by the village.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
it was a very strict culture. I wasn't allowed to say certain things, but at the same time, it was a very giving environment. Um, I was always taken care of, and um, I guess it was just very interesting growing up, having one world at home and one world at school, and they didn't fit, and people around me didn't really get it. Like for example, I would get in trouble for things because I wasn't able to communicate them correctly in Spanish, and my grandparents didn't understand. One time they sent me to school in a T-shirt that said like it's a damn or something on it, and I got sent home.
Really?
But like I was trying to tell them like, hey, like this is a bad word in English, like I can't wear this to school, and they're like, whatever. And yeah, so you little miscommunications like that to larger miscommunications. Like a lot of the people I went to school with lived in a traditional, like American nuclear family: mother, father, brother, sister,
Mhm.
dog. And me, my parents were divorced. I live in a house with my grandparents and my great aunt, my great grandma, a cousin, and my little brother. And I didn't have the support at home of people helping me with crafts and projects because I mean my grandparents didn't know how to do any of that. So um I just remember that being kind of hard, kind of living between two different worlds and people not understanding that. But now as I grow older I've embraced so much of that, and that culture that I grew up with is a big part of me and who I became. And I also feel like growing with a different culture helps you see things from a completely different perspective, and that's super
Mm-hmm.
valuable. I think that's one of the most valuable things of having grown up in the Salvadorian culture.
Thank you for sharing that. Because we got to get a glimpse of, your childhood, your like how, your background and all that stuff. So thank you for sharing. All right. So thank you guys for listening to the Creative Gym podcast. If you guys want to follow Leda, tell us where they can connect with you.
Instagram is the best place to follow me. It's Get Social with Leda. I'm also starting to become active on Twitter, and that handle is
Oh,
Get Social W Leda. I couldn't fit the with, but Get Social W Leda, Leda.
okay. And are you still like currently accepting new clients?
I am accepting copywriting clients. So if you're requiring any services, I'll do anything from email marketing sequences. I do podcast descriptions and podcast show notes, landing pages, sales pages. I am your person.
All right, guys, you guys go check her out.